Yeah, thanks for sharing the clone outfit. I think I kind of see a little bit about, and I could be wrong. I think I kind of see how it's done, where a settler is equipped. You know, you equip a settler like the way you want them, and then you save that kind of quote quote outfit to like a slot, or maybe a text file like a YAML file, which would really have, let's say, outfit name, and then items of, references to the clothing items, and then you would simply select that reference, or select that outfit name, and then it would automatically equip those references. Let me show you what this one is. So basically, I know I'm going to fall through the floor here. So basically, what you do is there's just a container, and if you can see, the container says that it's for workers. It's unlocked, meaning that that's a flag that just says if you lock it, then nothing can be taken out of it. So it's in a sense just locked. So it's unlocked. The way that he's doing this, or kind of his original idea, was to create a radius around a trunk object, because you can have multiple trunks, and the DLL, the plugin, the F4SE plugin, looks at that radius. So it only accepts NPCs within a given radius, as opposed to like the entire settlement. In one way, the whole settlement would be better, where you just walk through the entire NPC list, and then therefore, no matter where you put the trunks, and I'll make that suggestion here in a little bit. No matter where you put the trunks, it's always going to service the settlers. And you guys excuse my voice, like I just woke up, and it's fall here, so it's kind of like a little bit of an allergy season, and my throat is a little bit scratchy. But you can set it for workers. So what you do is you basically put in this trunk, you just dump gear. So it's just a gear dump, in a sense. So when you're out questing, and you collect gear, or you kind of trade up your own gear and things like that, you can just dump it in a trunk. Consider it like a supply trunk, and the supply trunk has weapons and armor in it, as you can see. And then you have a terminal. Well, you have a holotape. So let's go ahead and load the holotape up. So he's made like a holotape, and this is how you configure the trunk. This is how you configure each trunk. So you can see that this particular trunk is unlocked. It updates every 60 seconds. There's the radius that it pulls for NPCs. And then you can see that the filter is for workers. Right now he has a filter for all, a filter for workers, and filter for guards. So if it's on workers, it won't select guards. And that way you can have a trunk for guards, and then you can put combat armor and higher level weapons. So therefore it'll automatically upgrade them. You can remove all the armor. For, when you do this, it literally removes all the armor of all the settlers and puts it in the trunk. Or you can automatically equip all the settlers instantly, because the way he's kind of done, the way he's done this, his design, the design philosophy he took was, he has an F4SE plugin which has his function calls. And that is how he gets his NPC list, I think, armor slots, things like that. I think he does it at that level. There's also a script. So it's really a minimal mod. He has a script. I haven't looked at the script to see what the scripting actually contains, to see if the filtering and all that is done in the script or in the DLL. So I'm kind of assuming at a DLL level. And the only thing I kind of, that I suggested, and things I suggest, is I believe it was in Red Rocket. In Red Rocket, I had put melee weapons, and I had put melee ranged weapons into a trunk. And what he's doing is he is selecting whether to upgrade a weapon based on whether it is based on its value. So let's say, and he doesn't do named NPCs like Preston, but I mentioned to him that you should allow named NPCs like, let's say, Sturgis and Mama Murphy to improve their weapons. You can leave their outfit alone if you want, or you can, but they do need to upgrade their weapons. But what happened was, which I'm going to head over this way real quick,
Nice job
is
with those defenses. I've got
see,
nothing
like,
else I need right now.
See, like, Sturgis is
Preston
not
may
really,
want
he's not really a faction per se. Like, he doesn't wear a and what I mean by that, he doesn't wear a Minuteman outfit. He doesn't wear those kind of things. So, he should be eligible to put on some better armor, since, he's going to be, he's going to be in combat. But, and this is kind of a new mod for him, so, as he terms it, graining it or filtering it can sometimes be a problem. It can kind of make it, I guess, more complicated, I think, that he's thinking. And as examples, so Sturgis is assigned to farming, and so he's a worker, but he's going to be omitted because he has a custom name. But like I mentioned to him again, I think you need to update. So, Sturgis needs to be upgraded. Okay, so over here, it's a tighter settlement. So you can see this guy right here, how he's decked out. He's got all kinds of gear. See how he's got combat armor and that weapon. So all I did was, guards are over here. And I go in here and I replace the objects that where the collision is being somehow separated with, and I put new objects in. And once I place the objects outside of a automated process, they work just fine. But over here, let's bring this up so you can see it. I believe, well, he has it on the trunk now. So you see it's unlocked. It's for guards only. And this is where I put guard gear in. See, this is where I put their gear in here. But what they will do is, every 60 seconds, every 60 seconds, or whatever you have the cycle set at in your tape, it will scan that radius. It'll get all the NPCs in that radius. Now, I'm assuming he's actually doing a full NPC scan and only selecting within the radius, or the F4SC function call actually has a radius in it to keep from pulling in too many references and taking too long in order to generate an NPC reference table. He didn't have hardly anything. He had like a pipe pistol, and he had no gear at all. So, and then, so I kind of lost my train of thought. God, it's early. So when you go out and you collect gear, you just throw it in the trunk. You set the trunk up to service guards, and you can do it within a certain radius. Like I said, I think a full settlement would be better, but I can mention it to him. It's up to him if he wants to implement that. But this guard had absolutely nothing. He had just an outfit, and he had a pipe pistol. And you can see that he's already decking everything out. So what he does is, every 60 seconds, he randomly selects, let me turn this off, he randomly selects a settler. So, and I believe he uses his F4SC plugin to do that. So he gets a list of settlers within a radius, he randomly selects one. And then it's kind of a trickle effect. As far as like equipping items, it would be like a trickle effect. And I think that was kind of like what he was shooting for. And I think I'd mentioned to him that being able to equip everything all at once would give the player a little bit of agency to say, okay, I've dumped all this stuff in here, let me instantly distribute it. And I also was suggesting that when you replace an item on one of the NPCs, you also, like if you're gonna give them combat armor and they already have a piece of, let's say, leather armor on, put the leather armor in the trunk so you can recycle. So he's already got that all implemented, and that looks, and it works. That's working so far. So far, it's working. So in the play cycle, in the gaming cycle, if I went over, let's say, to Concord over there, and I killed a bunch of raiders. I can pull their gear off and I can bring and drop it in a trunk, and they will automatically equip themselves. It's kind of random. Caressa, they kind of random. Now, the only thing that I mentioned to them that I thought might have been a better design choice would be, I had a trigger man in here. It was a random visitor from Settler Visitors, the new mod that's out. And it was a trigger man, and he had a machine gun. So trigger men use ranged weapons, at least he did. And that's what he was spawned with as a random character. And since he chooses the weapon to upgrade by the price of the weapon, there was a super sledge that cost more than the machine gun. So the oh my god, the trigger man actually swapped weapons. He put his machine gun in the trunk and he took out his ranged weapon. So now he's a melee guy. And I had mentioned that if you're going to swap a weapon, if you're going to swap a weapon, keep it in the same class. So, for example, because what that's going to run into, if I give this settler over here a ranged weapon, and then I want to, see, he has a melee weapon. If I give him a ranged weapon and I want him to be a ranged fighter, then, and that's probably the trigger man. Yeah, that's the guy that got it. So I would want him to be a ranged person. The mod will automatically say the melee weapon, the super sledge, cost more. Therefore, it must see. He's using that to filter equal a better weapon. And I don't know. He's pretty adamant about that. I like I said, I told him. I mentioned my suggestion would be that if they're using melee, stick to melee. If they have no weapon, give them ranged first, or give them melee second. Or if you still want to go with the cost, then if they have no weapon, give them whatever weapon is available. I also mentioned taking a look at the special stats for the NPCs. So if they have low strength, try to keep them with ranged as a filter option. So that was kind of like my suggestion, and I'll link him to this video so he can see where I'm kind of actually talking about it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a trunk. I think I have the trunk over here for settlers. It's just a trunk. You just drop a trunk. Where did I put it? Is it back here? It's somewhere. It is somewhere over the rainbow. But maybe it's here. Here it is. Okay. So see, this one is set up for workers. So in the worker trunk, I will put things like, see, all the armor, pretty much the leather armor is gone. So I put leather armor in here, things like that, because I figure that's more mobile for them. I put more ranged weapons as opposed to melee. You can see the machine gun came from the trigger man because he took the super sledge out, and I think it was because of the value. That's what he looks at. But I just come and drop all the extra gear in these trunks. And you could use a mod like there's an O-mod stripper made by SKK, so you could drop a box, put the weapons in there, and it strips the weapons down from their removes the modifications from the weapons, and then you can sell those, or you can leave it on the weapons if you want, and then you could put the bare bones weapons in here, or you could put I just dump a bunch of weapons I find. But that's the gameplay. But the only kind of quote burden is during the gameplay loop is for the player to have to mule the gear back. That's the only downside I see to it, as opposed to the upside of, let's say, using an outfitter. But what's nice, what I like about this, it only replaces one piece of gear at a time. Now that does, an outfitter mod like what you were talking about, that would give you a full outfit. But this kind of is like piecemeal. It's kind of like a shared system. It's like, okay, here's a group, here's a bunch of equipment. So the equipment is going to be shared between all the settlers. So it's a pretty easy gameplay loop. I collect the equipment, drop it in the trunk, set the trunk up to be only service certain types of NPCs. Only service certain type of NPCs, and then it does the rest. So just let it kind of do its thing. So far, like I say, it works pretty good. I've got it in a couple settlements. He's still working on it. He's still working on doing his releases. You know, he's still kind of improving it, and he is open to suggestions. So if you have any suggestions, or anyone has any suggestions, I would highly, you know, recommend stopping by and just, you know, saying, hey, you like this, you don't like this. It never hurts. And I still have SS2 on the docket, and I'll take a look at generating. I'll take a look at auto generating a Robco patch, but I need to know what I'm looking at. I'll have to get on Discord with somebody, and we'll have to talk about it, and they're gonna have to bring me up to speed as to what you know, what the data is. What am I looking at? What do you know? How do I need to code this? You know, what's the logic translation that I need to do? And then the rest should be easy. Once I can wrap my mind around that, it won't be any problem at all. All right, I'm gonna hop off here, and I've got to get the morning started, and I'll probably post back a little bit later with some things, but I just want to kind of make a quick vid and show you kind of what it is. It is in the workshop. You can go to the workshop, and his trunk is over here in the workshop, at least in mine, because I'm using workshop rearranged. It's in the furniture containers tab, and of course for me it's in the mod section, and it's one trunk fits all. They're configured by the holotape. So yeah, all right, everybody have a good day, and I will talk with you later.